New Zealand is now open, and if you're making a trip to New Zealand, no doubt you will have been told to visit all the big places: Auckland, Wellington, Rotorua, Waitomi Caves, Christchurch, Dunedin. But what about the little places? What about the places that only if you live in New Zealand you know about? This is something else. This was just, you know, when you're like, I don't know, like, what is it called when you're just exploding with happiness? In this week's episode, we're going to share with you some life in New Zealand and tell you about a little kiwi gem that we discovered after 13 years of living in New Zealand. It's a Drama, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him!
Mother thanks you.
Right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we bring you this episode from sunny Taranaki in the middle of the summer.
That's it. February the 1st.
Beautiful New Zealand day.
Wow.
So we're here. We're going to be talking to you about the last couple of weeks in New Zealand, what life has been like on the ground in New Zealand. And we're going to be bringing you all good stuff.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, we are going to be talking today because last week I gave you the topics first. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to be talking about this, this and that. And it seemed to really work. Like you liked knowing what was coming up. So this week we are going to be talking about cruise ships returning to New Plymouth. We're going to be touching on the political issues that have been happening in New Zealand. We are going to be talking about
a little bit about the crazy weather.
About the crazy weather, yes.
Yep.
Because we're Brits.
Well, that's
so
why we thought we'd do it
about
outside, because, like, you know, it's been absolutely piddling down all day today.
We're going to be telling you about Wellington. We've just moved our daughter to Wellington, and we're going to be telling you a little bit about that. And then last but not least, our absolute favourite part of the show is a gorgeous little gem that we found on our travels around New Zealand that we want to share with you. You're not going to believe it. It's literally just hidden gold within the most unexpected place in New Zealand.
Yeah, and I have another little story about that same place, that area anyway.
Oh, do you?
I'll keep it to the end.
Okay, all right then. So how have you been? Do you know, it sounds a little bit, because you've got the umbrella up, it sounds a little bit like we're in a studio, Bri. I feel like, what are those?
It's just a green screen.
No, it isn't. I feel like, what was those hosts called? Back in England in the day, that married couple that used to sit there and they'd be talking in there. One was turned in to be a thief. Remember?
Oh, you mean Good Morning Britain?
Richard and Judy.
Richard and Judy.
Richard and Judy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true that he was a thief.
I don't know whether he was sorry, Richard. I don't know whether you were a thief or not. But I know.
No, but you know what I mean, though, Bri. He got into a little bit of a scandal, didn't he?
Did he?
He got into a little bit of a scandal.
Was it Judy that got into the scandal?
No.
I can't remember. Someone got, was it done for
Anyway.
a bit of shoplifting or something?
I don't know, Bri, but anyway, that's just what I feel like. I feel, because it's raining, Brian said, oh no, let's sit outside and do the podcast outside. And I'm like, yeah, but we're going to get wet. So he's put this big, massive parasol over us. And it's making it feel like a cocoon, isn't it? It's making it feel very...
because it's quite bright around, even though it's grey. But it's like, it's anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard, go on, Judy. Off you go.
Off you go, Jude.
Punches here.
So let's just, first of all, before we move into the show, let's just talk about the weather, the horrific weather that's been happening in the north of New Zealand at the moment.
Mainly the top half of the North Island, really. You know, I mean, we've had a bit of rain here in Taranaki, but, you know, we've
got off lightly. And we just want to say that our hearts are with you guys.
Yeah.
We've got people in our private Moving to New Zealand community. They've had terrible floods, lots of damage. And big shout out to Ginger and Greg in our community whose house they're renting. They've only been in New Zealand for 2 or 3 months. Absolutely destroyed the house to a degree, didn't it? You know, we've seen pictures of the house after the floods. Everything, even like the washing machine, is turned on its side because everything it was about a metre of water in the whole house. It looks like someone's gone in and ransacked it. Yeah. You know, because everything's on the floors. Everything's it's all turned upside down. Yeah. Absolute nightmare for all you people up north. You know,
sorry for what has happened and everything, and hearts go out to you. And
we've done this to make you feel better, you see, because we don't want you sitting there that we're just sitting here in our bikinis in Taranaki going, oh yeah, well, what if I, we're not affecting us because, as you can see, the wind in our podcast.
The wind in our podcast, but we are 280 meters up, I think. So I don't think the floods are going to get us up here somehow, and it's not that I'm being smart ass about that. It's just, that's all we could afford to buy.
It did sound a bit
didn't it?
smug, that.
Yeah, a bit smug.
A bit like Richard.
Bit like the Three Little Pigs, isn't it? Yeah. Don't build your house on sand.
Yeah. It's really funny, actually, because, well, not really funny, because obviously that's really sad, but because I know there's lots of disasters and things happening up north, but just to give you like put it into relation or whatever the word is. Yeah, we've got we've got an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old, and they have just been flipping piddling themselves with laughter about the things that people have, like the memes that people have been, the Kiwis getting their surfboards out and surfing down. Don't you see it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
surfing down the street in Auckland, and just like these guys just saying, oh yeah, it's just another day in New Zealand, bro.
Yeah. My son sent me a picture of there's two guys in a sea kayak, and it's just like bros going to work.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
And do you know what? I love that. I absolutely love it when people, they make light of things and they make you laugh. And I'm not saying you don't take it seriously and where you're not compassionate and all the rest of it, but it's just, that's what I love about the Kiwis.
When it's all going crazy, it's great that people still can pull on that sense of humour and just see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, it's not easy for anyone that's going through all that sort of stuff. Like, it really, really isn't.
So, should we talk about the political thing and get that out of the way, or should we talk about the cruise ships?
Do you know what? No, listen, we're not a political channel, but...
I don't know about that, Brian.
No, well, we're not really, are we?
Lots of politics.
We've got politics down the local cafe, and that's about as far as it goes, But, we know Jacinda, the PM, is stepping down. I'm not surprised with what she's had to go through, but that's just, that's my take on it. And the biggest thing at this time is not to be separate and come out, oh, she's this, she's that, and he's done this and he's done that. Is let's just unite as a country. There's a lot of crap going on around the world and everything, and it's a pretty special place here in New Zealand, and we can make it all the better. And I just think to have that disparity is, it's just a bit shit, really.
It is.
It's like, come on, New Zealand.
And we were like that about whether we should talk about this because, like as you know, we aren't a political channel, and you don't want to get in.
We're both from England as well, so really,
well,
it's
that doesn't matter. English people can have opinions.
I know. For the last 15 years, I've paid my taxes. You're allowed to vote and everything.
It is, Max.
But
so it was like, shall we say? But the reason we're going to share this story with you is because this is what we felt from our hearts, and we don't want to get into any debate. And please don't send us any comments telling us about COVID and all the rest of it. We're not, you know what I mean? That's not why we're telling you this.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, YouTube will just ban any sort of
so don't bother.
Anyway. Yeah.
But it's just, we just really wanted to share this, and unfortunately, this happened last week. And you know when something happens and you're really fired up about it, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go and say that I just want to say that, and it's sort of like not lost its power, but just I still feel passionately about it, but I still remember, and I just wanted to share this story with you. So we were down the cafe, obviously.
Down the cafe?
Because we haven't said who we are before. Oh, hang on. Well,
no, it doesn't matter.
Well, maybe we should have said that we're Liz and Brian and husband and wife, and we're from England, and we come on this channel and talk about life in New Zealand and travel and things like that. So,
and it's our take of it, that as we see it, that's all it is.
Yeah. But they know that, Brian.
I know.
You don't have to explain that.
But you just said, well, then why are we explaining who we are then?
Well, because they might think we're Richard and Judy.
All right, we did say we're Richard and Judy. If we're
not really Richard and Judy.
I used to go to school with Philip Schofield.
Brian's not really a shoplifter. He's used to be a plumber. Anyway, so we're down the cafe the other day, and we didn't know all this that had gone on because, to be honest, we're not very up with the news. And our friend down the cafe, he's a Kiwi guy.
Yeah, retired principal.
Yeah,
from the local schools.
He's usually so upbeat and so positive, and so like when you see someone and he's got over cancer, he's been through the mill, and still he is just down to earth Kiwi positive. Yeah. And he came,
lovely guy.
He is lovely, and he came walking towards us the other day, and literally he just looked broken, and we're like, "Oh, you okay?" And he said, "I feel I feel sick to my stomach. And we were like, why? What's the matter? Thinking, oh, you know, something really terrible is happening with his health or something like that. And he just said, oh, you know, Jacinda has stepped down. And we knew about that. And we said, yeah. And he said, and I suppose you know about all the hate that's gone online about her and things like this. And we were like, no, we didn't, because we didn't know anything about that. I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is a long time ago, we unplugged the TV. It was a long time ago. So we don't really follow mainstream news. We get our news from other people or a little bit off the internet or however it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but we're not
Actually,
big
we rely on you in the comments.
Yes,
You tell us what's going on.
We're not really big into sitting down and watching the news.
No, we're not.
Networks and things like that.
And so he said and then he went on to tell us the sort of things that had been said online about Jacinda. And he just said, it makes me, as a Kiwi, he said, it just saddens me. He said, I want to cry. I mean, for this guy to say this,
I know, but he
said,
yeah.
I just want to cry. He said, it just makes me feel so disappointed, so sad.
So depressed, he said.
So depressed,
and he's not a depressive guy. And he's very into sort of mindfulness and everything else that goes around. But just to say, it was such a depressing read, knowing that there's this small group of, I don't know, 200-300 people out there that are just troll people for whatever reason they want to do it for,
just
like, you know,
some nasty,
just keyboard warriors that just got nothing better to do, you know.
And that being that, it made us come home, and we went for a walk straight after that, and it made us reflect so much on, if that's all you knew, if all you knew was just reading the newspaper and reading, you know,
the negativity.
Yeah. You might be depressed and crying and thinking, oh my God. But I did say this to him, but we didn't have long, so I couldn't, you know, say, oh, have you got a couple of hours and I'll just give you a nice, you know, a nice speech. But what I wanted to say in depth, which is what I'm going to try and say here, is we see, being on YouTube, we see so many Kiwis. We see so many comments, thousands of people watch our stuff. I'm not saying like, oh, we're big, massive YouTubers, but as you can see, if you look at our channel, you'll see that lots of Kiwis comment on our stuff. And I tell you what, Kiwis, man, they're just, oh my God, they are the nicest, supportive, kind, generous people you will ever meet. Aside from the silly little, like Bryce said, the 300, whatever it is, trolls. If you're watching this and you don't know and you haven't heard any other side, honestly, there is a tiny minority. The people of New Zealand is what make New Zealand the way it is. And they are just very, very special, kind, loving, supportive, generous people. I can't stress that enough. And so, although when he said that, what he told us, you sort of go, oh God, that's awful. In my mind, I'm like, I've got this massive percentage of kindness when I think of New Zealand people, and a tiny little shitty bit where you think, oh God, yeah, they're just awful. And I just wanted to share that because it was like,
it is. Everyone seems to have each other's back, like, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not funny. If you're going into battle, I'd want to keep me at my side.
Yeah.
I just would, because you need to still be there, like, you know.
And the other thing we wanted to say as well, and then we'll get off the topic. The other thing we said as well was, as some of you might know, and if you don't, we've just been traveling. We're big travelers, and we've just been traveling in Europe for 6 months, Europe and Thailand. And I'll tell you what, every single country we went to, when we say we're from New Zealand, they're like, oh, New Zealand, the country, you know, your people, your prime minister, your togetherness. They don't go, oh, really, New Zealand? Oh, that's a, you know, you're being horrible to Prime Minister or whatever. They just don't. We're known for being a nation of togetherness. That's all they ever comment on. I swear, I'm not just saying that.
You know, you look at the White Island, you look at the Christchurch shootings, the Kaikoura, the Christchurch earthquakes, all those things that had the country comes together, like, you know.
Yeah.
Just with anything that sort of goes on in this country, and I just think the people who spread negativity is just either just cut them off, find their IP address, and just shut them down, like, you know.
Well, I don't think it's as easy as that, because they're just.
We don't need it.
No, I know we don't. I know. No.
Nobody needs to be separated. You know, it's like, come together.
You know, we went to Thailand. Oh, okay, we'll just tell you one last thing. And then
the last thing about Thailand. You think you've got a tough time here.
Yeah, but you know, we went to Thailand and we spent 2 months in Thailand, however long it was. And you know, in Thailand, and I don't know much about this, but I do know this. The Thai people twice a day have to stand when the national anthem is blasted out
over the city,
over the tannoys
it is.
around the city, no matter where you are in the city, and everyone has to stand to attention while the national anthem is played and bow their head.
Yeah.
Twice a day.
8 o'clock, I believe it is. Or it's either 8 or 9 o'clock. I can't remember.
Which,
off the top of my head. 6 o'clock.
I don't know why they do. I'm not sure of why they do that or anything like that. And each to their own. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, this country, it just feels. Not only does it feel together, this is our opinion, not only does it feel together, but it also feels free, and it also feels, and I know people are going to say, oh yeah, but we haven't got our rights because we're made to do this, that and that, and the country was shut down and all the rest of it. It's a massive topic, but I just want to say, compared to when we went to England, that country was, there's so much hate there.
Felt like it's
there?
on its knees because everything's not working, everything was breaking down, all these sort of things. I always say, if you've got something to say about politics, then go and stand to be a politician. End of story. Don't bother telling other people. Just go and do it, you know? And if something's really on your mind, get out there. I'm not a politician, so I don't really pass comment on it. Like,
do you know when I think is the best time to talk about politics by?
At the dinner table.
Yeah, just
and
wait.
Religion, politics, everything goes on like that.
Save it all up. Save it all up. And then just when you sit down, say, I'd like to talk about politics, please. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Oh, God, my hair is, the wind is just blowing. God knows what we look like that. Yeah.
This old umbrella's going to break into this wind.
Well, the talk of apart from all this stuff that's been going on, the talk of the town, the talk of New Plymouth, which is where we live in Taranaki. We live just outside New Plymouth. And the talk
just over there
is the cruise ships are back in town. So that is a massive thing, isn't it, Brian?
Well, it is, because it's been, 5 years?
Yeah.
It's about 5 years, actually, isn't it?
Bloody Jacinda wouldn't let him in, would she?
Yeah. So nice. What's that do over there, look?
Oh, look, this is a nice cup of tea. No, anyway, so...
Look, Escape Coffee in New Plymouth, everybody.
No. So, as you know, tourism is just, because New Zealand has now opened back up, tourism is flooding back into New Zealand, which is lovely to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, the cruise ships and...
But you know what? I was out cutting the grass the other day, it's a push-along lawnmower. It takes me about 3.5, 4 hours. And I could just hear this, that sounds like a bus coming up the hill. And I'm like, whoomp, this big bus goes by, it's full of people. I'm like, where are they going? And then 2 minutes later, another bus comes by. And then another one comes by. And they're like, and then it wasn't until I saw the cruise ship going out at night, I'm like, oh, they were going up to Pukeiti Gardens.
Yeah.
It's a big rhododendron garden up, owned by the council now, just up on the hills. And that's where they were heading off. And I was thinking, oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just bringing it all back.
It's just like, it's
and
good
you're
for
making the
local
road
business.
a bit busy, isn't it, Brian?
I know, 3 buses in.
We should have been out there
all
selling
day.
something.
I know, I should have got my lemons out.
Yeah. Except we haven't got any because they won't grow on our tree.
Well, the wind just blows them off.
So what was I going to say? So yeah, that's really nice. We were walking down the campsite the other night and down on the beach down in Okura, and just to look out to the sea and just see this big ship, just sailing along, and you just think, I just think they're on there now having their dinner and looking back at the mountain.
It was about 7 o'clock, and it was a glorious day as well. Wasn't it? It was a really nice day.
Yeah.
It's great to see it.
And so that was really nice. So, and then that got us talking about cruise ships and going on a cruise ship. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but for Brian's 40th birthday, I booked,
They had cruise ships back then.
Yeah, for Brian's 40th birthday, I booked him a cruise to, where do we go? Norway.
We went to the Arctic Circle to see the midnight sun.
Yeah, Brian had always wanted to see the midnight sun. And we went on that cruise, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And it was a bit, I don't know, did you like it?
It was kind of relaxing, but I just felt a bit
Trapped?
old. Yeah.
Old?
Oh, it was like just lots of bingo. I was 40 and I felt like a young whippersnapper.
Well, that's a good reason to go on a cruise then, isn't it, Brian?
Well, if you want to feel young, yeah.
I don't know about cruises.
Scrabble.
I liked the fact that, whoops, I'm hanging on, I'll just put my book down. I liked the fact that everything was done for you. So you don't have to think,
It was a bit
I didn't
weird.
really like it, I'm just trying to be polite.
The part that I didn't particularly like about the cruise ship, this is nothing against cruise ships, you just felt a bit weird. The best days were probably the sea days where you had nothing else to do for 2 days other than, travelling to Norway.
It was lovely.
But then it's like when you got there, you felt like you had to go and do the excursions because you didn't really have a clue where you were going.
That's
like,
what
you know,
they're doing
and
on that bus going up to
I know,
Pukiti.
but this is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, you got to the edge, you get to the gangplank and you've got to sign out with your passport, and then they give you a sticker.
I know.
Number 32.
Yeah,
orange
that's a bit weird.
And it's got to stay there all day. And
That
it's
is a bit
just like,
weird.
what is all that about? You just feel a bit
know.
weird, like, and a bit silly.
Do you think cruise ships are for the older generation, like us now? Like, well, obviously.
Do you know what? If you don't want to think, but you want to do a little bit of an adventure on a ship, you're going to see a lot of things. Like, I mean, going down through the fields and seeing those, you know, waterfalls and things like that. It was very, you know, you hear the Viking music playing in your ears, like, you know, Kirk Douglas running across the oars.
I'll tell you what, just as this is a bit of a cheapskate, and I don't mean to take any business off the cruise ship companies or anything, but you cannot beat getting the ferry from Wellington to the South Island, can you, Bri? Going down to Picton on that ferry.
Yeah.
When you go through the
Milford Sounds.
Milford Sounds,
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It is
Yeah.
gorgeous. It is like when you were just saying then about going through I mean, it was all Nordic and everything. That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
It was just. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
some
so
of
lovely.
those ferries nowadays, I mean, they're not the ones there aren't particularly great ferries, are they? Like, you know, because they're only for like a 3-hour trip. But those
Yeah.
ones that we went from from
Italy to Greece, yes.
Piraeus to yes. So I'm trying to think of the word. Well, we went to Bari in Italy. I mean, that was great, wasn't it? That was a full blown, just as you know, lovely. Well, we've got a vlog on that, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, there was. I must admit that. Well, the thing is, we went. It's going to make us sound really mean and tight, but I'll tell you anyway, because why not? We went on this cruise with Brian's brother. So what it was is he was going on a cruise, and Brian's brother lives in Florida, and he's lived there nearly all his life, hasn't he? So I would class him as American now, and he's married to an American lady. She's absolutely, you know, lovely, and they were going on this cruise. And so for Brian's 40th, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be lovely for me to book these tickets for Brian to go on the cruise with Dave, and you know, just some brother time. And it was absolutely
great.
lovely.
Yeah, we went in the casino together.
Yeah,
and
you did.
everything.
You had some really nice
it was
times,
great,
didn't you?
yeah.
But the thing is, Americans, and you might not know this about Americans, now you're really glad that you watched this video, but Americans are accustomed to tipping. They tip. They are a tipping nation. And so when we got on the cruise ship, Dave made it quite clear that, you know, you are going to be tipping, aren't you? Well, me and Brian went back to our room and we're like, hang on a minute, this is all inclusive. We've already paid. Yeah. Why should we tip? You know,
inclusive is inclusive.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, just tell him we are going to. Just say that we'll tip at the end.
We weren't Kiwis then, but we are. We were.
We'd be even worse now,
actually,
right?
we probably were.
We'd be even worse.
Yeah.
At least British people, they tip the hairdresser. New Zealand people don't, do they?
It's called minimum wage.
Yeah. But so we got to the end of the cruise ship, and I'm not kidding. Dave came to our room, knocked on our door, and he goes, here's all the envelopes that you need. And we were like, envelopes for what? For your tips?
Yeah. One for the cleaner, one for the waiters, one for the courtiers or whatever they're called.
Money?
No.
We'd spent it all on our cruise.
No. And then one for reception, and you're like...
And he was putting in like $100 bills per
I think
person.
he was putting more in. He was putting like $250 in some of them.
And he was like, this is what you allow when you come on a cruise. You should have allowed for this.
No, he didn't.
We were like, we felt so mean. Shall I tell them what we did?
Well, we didn't put anything in them.
No, I know we didn't.
They didn't see. They're never going to see us again.
But you went up and handed the envelope.
No, I did.
Yes,
I was standing behind Dave, and I'm like, I was like that. That's me as well. Cheers.
Honestly,
I
thought you went and handed in the envelope that had nothing
I was
in it.
with him, walked up, and then he walked away, and I'm like, I just followed him. He didn't even see what I did. I'm like, I was going to scrape the envelopes up that he'd given and take it home.
Oh, Bri, do you know what I'd love?
What?
Do you know what I'd love, Bri? I'd love to be that culture. I can't remember what it is, but when you go for a wedding, is it Greeks? When you go to a wedding and they give you loads of envelopes with
the
money
Italians
in it.
and the Greeks,
Imagine
and I think a lot of Jewish people do that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Jewish people? I didn't know if it was the Greeks or Jewish people. But
No,
it's
the Greeks the Greeks do it. The Italians do it because remember on The Godfather, you can see them on that big wedding. They're all handing in things and a big bucket, with throwing stuff in. Yeah.
Now that would be ideal.
We got towels at our wedding, didn't we?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. You don't want things like that. You just want money to buy stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
Imagine that, just coming over, handing you an envelope with, you'd be dying though, wouldn't you, to be thinking, just open it, especially if someone rich was at your wedding. You're like, open it to see how much they give us.
Do you know what? If your Greek or Jewish or Italian, and it's never too late to give money to us for our wedding that we had
55 years ago.
23 years ago. So, it's never too late.
Yeah.
25-year rule counts.
So that was that. And that was our thoughts on cruise ships. And it just brought back lots of memories. But I'm so happy that it's just so lovely to see tourism coming back to New Zealand. It really is.
It is. It's good. People go, oh, the pain in the butt. Because we were down in Port Chalmers a couple of years back, weren't they? And they were talking about the cruise ships that come in there. And it's just like, it's mad for a few hours. But they turn around and say, they don't actually spend anything. They just come in and order one cup of tea and stay there.
And
don't
why
they?
do you think that is? Exactly.
It's all paid on board.
Me and you, that's what I'm saying. That's it, isn't it? It's not cruise ship people. You tend to think if you go on a cruise ship, oh, they're going to bring lots and lots of money into the city. But I don't know if they do, Brian. Not if they're like me and you.
Well, it's good for the port because the port gets paid.
I thought you were going to say it's good for the poor then. I was going to say what?
Coach drivers and all, people like that.
Yeah, they all get paid.
And a few not touristy, gift shops and things like that, what do they say? The galleries do quite well, don't they? Because people want local art and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we even bought some art, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, we got a picture on the wall there from Norway.
Anyway, so that was that about the cruise ships.
Yes.
So it's getting a bit windy, isn't it, Brian?
It is, but it'll be all right.
Will it be okay?
It'll be okay. We've got our fluffies on.
Yeah. Before we move on to tell you about Wellington and taking our daughter down there and the gem that we discovered, we just want to tell you that if you are new to this channel and you're moving to New Zealand and you are looking to find anything out that you can about moving to New Zealand, we were in the same boat as you 13 years ago. We were coming over from the UK and we could find nothing on the internet about New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it was very sparse.
You can find stuff, but it takes you hours and hours. And all you want is someone to tell you, what's it like in this place? Or what's it like there? What do you do about that? And it's just like, you have to read 10 ton of blogs, don't you, to get to the one bit of information you're after.
So we have created a free, absolutely free 5-day video guide for people who are moving to New Zealand. Every day for 5 days, you're sent a little video. It's literally about 3 or 4 minutes long that me and Brian made for you, take you around Taranaki, take you down around New Zealand and show you 5 things about New Zealand that you probably will never, ever be told by anyone else on the planet. So if you would like to sign up for that, we would love to give you that as a gift. It's absolutely free. So go to
itsdrama.com/free. Or is it no? Should we take that little bit out because that's completely wrong?
Yes, it is.
It is. itsdrama.com/I-love-NZ.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I love NZ. And we will put a link up and it'll be in the description and all that.
Yeah.
So I love it when I get to this part of the show because what are we in? What's the time?
5:30.
No, I've lost my thing. I've lost my my timer.
But
But I love it when I get to this part of the show because the people that are still here, you people that are still here after this part of the show, this far in, are the people that we care about the most.
Yep.
You are the people that we care about the most. You are the people that we make these videos for every time we're on YouTube, the podcasts that we make every week. And we just want to say that thank you for staying around and for being with us. And I can kind of relax now when I get to this stage of the thing,
Yeah.
because it's you just know that people are here because they want to be here and they're not just clicking and moving off. And
yeah, that's true.
So you might know that we've got 2 kids, Sunny and Tessa, 21 and 18. And last week, Tessa, our 18-year-old, moved to Wellington. So she flew the nest. And we've talked about this tons in the past in our other podcasts and our videos. It's been a huge deal for us. And last week we took her down to Wellington on Saturday. By the way, let me just say, I'm not going to talk about the whole ins and outs of it on this video, but we have made a podcast that we have just released called It's a Bummer or That's a Bummer. And it's going to be released as an audio podcast next week. So you'll be able to see that.
Hear that anyway.
Hear that, not see it. It's an audio podcast. But we took her down to Wellington on Saturday, didn't we, Brian?
Yeah, and she hasn't gone down to study.
No.
She hasn't gone down to uni or anything like that. She's gone down. She's got a part with a theatre company. It's called Which Theatre Company. We actually did a little bit of a shout out to
Yes,
them.
we did. They are an amazing company.
Way before we even knew anything like this. I think it was probably 12, 18 months ago when we did that. It's called New Zealand Cringe Culture.
Yep.
And it was just how good this little theatre company was. And they're putting on Into the Woods in Wellington in the next 3 months, I think it is, 4 months. And she's gone down. She's got a part in a part with the theatre company. So she's gone down off her own back. She hasn't got a job down there. She's got to find a job. She's been put in applications out and this, that, and the other. She went. I went down a couple of weeks back, found a place that was going to be great for her to rent. It's just a bedroom and with two of the girls and stuff like that. And so it's like she's just been, and she's got really no one down there, has she?
She's got no one down there.
So she's got no, like when you go to uni, you know, you're normally the first year you're on campus or however it goes, but you've got structure. You go in there for 5 days a week. So it's like she's been struggling, hasn't she, for the last few days?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
and it's
she has.
not been easy for her.
But the reason I wanted to share this, and it hasn't been easy for us either, especially, it's
you.
just been, but like I say, listen to that audio podcast and you'll learn about that. But it's just the reason, what I wanted to say is, she's 18, and I know 18, you know, is an adult and all the rest of it, but to me, she'll always be my baby. And taking her down to a city, the capital city of New Zealand, I don't know, it was just, the thought of it was just like, oh my God. But as you drive down into Wellington from New Plymouth, you know, coming from this side of the country, well, from any side, because it's right at the bottom of the North Island.
So only one way to, as in the island, you're talking about, not so much the country. Cause,
You come down and you turn around the corner and you go around the corner to Wellington, and it's just there in the distance, and all these different height buildings and the, you know,
it's a big port city, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just had this overwhelming feeling of reassurance and thank goodness that she was there and nowhere else in the world, like, you know. Because I love Wellington. I love it so much.
It's got a lovely vibe. It's such, you know, it looks quite a grand city when you see it, but it has a very small city feel when you're in it, you know, and it doesn't feel like it's suburbs after suburbs, even though it is, because of the topography around. You've got to go over this hill to get to that bit, or around the sides of the coast to get to the huts and the lower hut, upper hut, and all those sort of places that are around. And you know, you got Seaton and all those sort of. It's an amazing place.
It's just a really, really lovely feel. And obviously, I've been to Wellington loads, and I know this. Like, you know, it's not a new thing. It's not like I've only just seen it, but I just thought, oh, I am so glad my girl is coming here. I am glad that we've got Wellington as our capital city. I'm glad that she's chosen to live in Wellington. She, you know, she's living in, like I said, in a room in the centre of Wellington. It's nothing flash, but the street, when we took her bed down and her furniture and stuff
on the trailer.
In the trailer, and we're unloading it in the street. And this guy walked past, and he was with a couple of his mates, and he just said, "Oh, welcome to the street, guys." And I just thought, oh, I love it. I love it. It's just, and I said to Tess, you know, I said, listen, if ever you're in trouble, any of these houses, you just go and knock. This is honest truth, what I said to her. Go and knock on their door and say, "Can you help me, please?" And she was like, "I won't need to do that. I'm not going to do that." And I said, "Yes, but you can." And I honestly believe that she could.
Most people would. Yeah, that's what Kiwis are like, though, isn't
That's
it?
what I believe.
If
and
someone did it here, I would do exactly that.
Well, we'd just pretend we're out.
It's like, oh, can't hear that. Well, send the dog.
No, but it's just, you know, you just get that feeling in some cities that you just think, if I was in trouble here, I could ask someone for help. And I know there will be areas in Wellington that you're going to think, oh, you're joking, aren't you? You wouldn't be able to.
There's lots of homeless in Wellington. You see them all the time, don't you?
Yeah, but it's a feeling of, I just love the feeling. And again, I'm just having this really big thing at the moment with New Zealand where I'm just so grateful and so, maybe it's because Tessa isn't leaving New Zealand, because she was talking about going to London at one time. Yeah. And I am so glad she's staying in New Zealand. And I'm just like, please just stay in New Zealand for a couple of years, get your feet wet, and then you can go overseas or whatever.
Get your experience together and away you go.
So that was that. And just the feeling of Wellington. I just wanted to share that with you. Just this feeling of, it's a very young, vibrant, I don't know, it's just a nice feeling, isn't it?
Just a nice uni city, I should say.
I think we should move to Wellington.
No.
Why?
Who'd want to live there?
No, honestly, be serious. I'm asking you seriously.
Do you know, it was one of the places that when we first came to New Zealand, we came to Taranaki, New Plymouth, and it was very similar like this. It was the middle of winter, even though this is the middle of summer. Very grey, very rainy, very windy, and it was pretty horrendous. We went down to Wellington for 3 days, wasn't it? Just to like get out of the Airbnb that we were in, and it was blue sky. It was lovely. It was a city. It just shops, and you could get all the things you needed to, and it was just like, I mean, Saturday in New Plymouth, it's kind of like Saturday afternoon. It just shuts.
Yeah,
it
very quiet,
really does.
isn't
There's
it?
the odd shop open, but it's just really, you imagine a city to be busy. I mean, New Plymouth is a city, but it's deadly on a.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, would you not
Saturday
like us
afternoon.
to live down there?
As part of me think yes. After do that travelling, you think I'd like to go down there and spend a bit of time down there.
Trouble is, it's expensive. Really
so's here.
expensive. Tessa's paying for a little room in Wellington. She's paying $280.
Oh, it's maybe $300 with your bills because she's got electric bills on top of that.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? It's a lot of money, that.
But that's what she said. She's going to be working minimum wage, and most of her wage is going for rent.
Yeah, but she worked out if she was going to be anyway, we'll talk about this another time. It's just, but yeah, if she gets a job 40 hours a week in a cafe or whatever, and she can do her theatre in the evening, and she can pay a chunk of that off, Yep. Anyway, so that's that. So that was that. Oh, by the way, before we move forward.
Or backwards.
No, I just forgot to say this. Before I was talking about Kiwi people and kindness and things like that. This is a very short shout out, but I just want to say hello to Mark Crisp, who is one of our regular listeners, regular watchers and regular commenters. There's hundreds of people that I could call out, but today I just want to give a shout out to you, Mark, because some of the comments that you've been leaving, especially to Brian and things like that, is just really, really touched our hearts. So you're a Kiwi, you're living in Australia, and we love you. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything about Australia.
No,
honest.
We won't. Never again. Anyway, so the gold that we found, well, this is the story.
Panning for gold.
Yeah, this is the story. So we're down in Wellington. We dropped Tess off down there, crying my eyes out when I had to say goodbye. It was awful. When you've got to say goodbye to someone, you're putting it off and all the rest of it. And it was just like, okay, time to go now. Let's just go. Just, you're sobbing. I was just sobbing my heart out, wasn't I? It just felt horrible.
It was pretty bad because it's such a gut-wrenching time, and you're trying to be strong and everything, and it's just
My sister said to me, you just need to practice some tough love. And I'm thinking that all the time, tough love, Liz, come on, be tough. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to leave you. Anyway, so I just thought, and we had this big drive back to New Plymouth.
So we left quite late, hadn't we? We left us around about 7:30, sort of.
Yeah.
We knew we weren't going to get back till probably midnight, 1 o'clock.
And we were like, what should we have to eat? And we didn't want to stop in Wellington because we didn't want to just prolong it. So we didn't want to say to Tess, let's go out for dinner, because that would have just been, my dinner would have gone down in lumps, to be honest.
It's like when you're ready to go, it's like, right, you're in your place, we're going now. And you've just got to go because, like you say, you can go for dinner, stay overnight, and then it's just, you're prolonging it. It was bad enough the week before we were going, wasn't it? Or she was going.
So we're driving out. I'm crying. Brian's like, come on, we'll be okay. And do you want anything to eat, Liz? And I'm like, no, I don't want anything to eat. I can't think of food. Well,
I hadn't eaten all day.
5 minutes, no, Brian's starving. 5 minutes down the road, my tears had dried. And I thought, oh, I'm a little bit peckish, actually. So Brian said, I'll tell you what, we'll stop in Levin. Now, Levin is a town. Is it a town? It's not a city, is it? Or is it a city?
You're going to let us know. I mean, to me, I still
Levin.
struggle with New Zealand on what is a city and what isn't a city. I mean, the UK cathedral, it's a city. Other than that, it's a town. But
do you know what? Do you know the way I think it is, Brian? If you have got a countdown and it's a big countdown, I reckon it's a city. That's it.
Well, that's an Australian supermarket, so why not?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it is.
All right, okay.
Yeah. I prefer New World and Pack and Save.
Anyway, Levin is, how far away is it from Wellington?
It's about an hour out, just over an hour now, because they've got that great new road, which is over 60, 70k long, takes you all the way into Wellington, isn't it? So it's about 15 minutes off that main, 20 minutes off the main highway.
I really like Levin. I know we've got a couple. Hello, Levin watchers. out there because I know there's a couple of you that live in Levin.
Yeah.
I really like it. And we pulled up at the supermarket and, we pulled up outside McDonald's. That was it, wasn't it?
Well, we pulled out because, there's nothing really I can eat from McDonald's apart from a cup of tea.
Fries
or
gluten-free.
a coffee, because it's just, no, you've got no chance. Because even, it's not that I'm 100% celiac, but I just gluten intolerant. So you can kind of get away with a little bit, but there it's just like there's no chance because nothing,
So we're sitting outside McDonald's. It's going dark. Well, it was dark by this one, wasn't
yeah.
it? And when you're just tired and hungry and you've been crying and you've been lifting beds and wardrobes and saying goodbye to your daughter and you're stressed and it's just like you just want someone to look after you and go, look, I'll sort it out for you. And me and Brian were like this at each other because you got in a mood with me because I said that I wouldn't go into Countdown or something and get some food, wasn't it?
No, all it is, it's like you get to the point where you
were in a mood. Just let's say that.
I was, yes, I was in a mood just for the fact that you just like someone to make a decision for you. Sometimes have you been making decisions all day?
Yes, I know.
And Liz, what do you want? Nothing. Okay. I'll go and get a cup of tea then.
And then all of a sudden, I thought, oh, do you know what? I fancy some Indian food. I fancy a nice Indian meal. I love Indian, absolutely love it. And the great thing about Indian food is very, very often it's got no gluten in it. I mean, you have to check, obviously, but 9 times out of 10, the Indian food that we've eaten, when we've asked, they've gone like, no, it's got no gluten free.
Apart from the naan breads, it's pretty well gluten free.
Yeah.
I mean, it's known that it's like it is a bit like the Mexican diet, similar as well.
So I have a look on TripAdvisor while Brian's sulking in the front of the car drinking his tea.
Sulking. I was in Macca's getting a cup of tea.
Yeah, while Brian's in Macca's getting a cup of tea. I looked on TripAdvisor and I thought, okay, there's a little Indian takeaway. We'll go to that. And this place is called the Star of India.
Star of the East, isn't it?
No,
Is
Brian.
it Star of India?
Why are you contradicting
Oh,
me
I
now,
just
making
thought-
me look like an idiot?
it's okay.
Hang on, let me get my notes.
Oh,
What did I say earlier? The Star of India.
the Star of India.
Right,
Sorry,
so-
the Star of the East, but it's not you.
This is our big shout out.
I'm sorry.
Right, okay. It's Star of India, right? Okay, so this place, when you look at it from the outside, the town of Levin, or the city of Levin, sorry if you're a city, they've got main street shops going up and down the street. And this place is just tucked on the left-hand side. It's almost so small that you would miss it.
It is, because it's just a takeaway, isn't it?
It's just takeaway, so it's not a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I said to Brian, I looked and it had really good reviews. And I said to Brian, let's go and get a takeaway. And he's like, well, how are we going to eat that in the car? We haven't got any knives and forks. We haven't got any plates. And I said, well, we could just ask them if they will give us a container or, they might have a plate that we can borrow. Not borrow, but, buy, whatever. Anyway, I said, well, don't write it off. Let's just go and have a look and I'll run in and ask. So we drive down, we find this little Indian. And like I say, it's nothing to look at. It's a tiny little shop window and a little red door. We pulled up the car at the side of the road and I run inside and the smell for a start was just warmth, cinnamon, nutmeg, spice, gorgeousness.
Smell like an Indian.
Yeah, funny that. Now,
an Indian
this is
restaurant,
my
that is.
big shout out. I want you to listen very carefully. There's a guy at the back doing his cooking with his frying pan.
Like that.
And the woman that works in there, she wasn't very old. She was only, I don't want to guess her age, but she was quite young, so maybe in her 20s. She came, she had a couple of people already serving, so she was busy. So she wasn't, she was busy. She came out and she said, can I help you? And I said, what it is, we're travelling from Wellington to, do you want my life story? Well, what it is, my daughter, you see.
How long have you got?
Do you want that medium or hot, love? Yeah, I said, what it is, I said, we're just travelling from Wellington to New Plymouth and we'd love to have a takeaway meal from you, but we haven't got any plates or knives and forks. And she's like, oh, that's okay. I can give you a container. So she gets her containers out, an extra container, like the little plastic containers you get. She goes, how many do you want? And I said, well, I haven't ordered the food yet. And she said, oh, I thought you just wanted it because you already had a takeaway. And I was like, no, I want to buy the takeaway from you. So she was going to give me
Plastic containers.
and forks for a meal
To eat someone else's food.
to eat someone else's food. And I'm like, no, I want to buy the food from here. She's like, oh, okay. She was just so kind and so lovely. Anyway, so I run back outside to the car and I said to Bri, brilliant, she's going to give us containers, Bri. You don't have to be in a mood anymore. You're going to get fed. And she's going to give us...
Cheered up knowing then.
Yeah, you did. She's going to give us these wooden forks and we can just sit in the back of the car and have our Indian meal.
Yeah.
So I go back in and I order what we're having. What did I have? I had chicken sagwala.
Chicken sagwala.
And you had...
I had a chicken tikka masala.
Yeah. Rice, poppadoms. I said, oh, are your poppadoms gluten-free? She gets out all the ingredients. Yes, they're made with chickpea flour. They're gluten-free. We don't fry them in the same oil, so you're fine. And, right, pay attention now, okay? Pay attention, world. We took the Indian food, we took it back to the car, we opened the back doors like this, and Brian had made it all cozy in the back because he's trying to make it up to me for being in a mood. We sat in the back of the car, you know that armresting that you pull down in the middle? We sat either side of that and we had our little tea and our Indian food sitting here like this.
Our heated seats on.
Our heated seats.
Because it was a bit chilly.
It was chilly, it's summer.
9 o'clock at night.
And we sat, and I am not joking, that food was the best Indian food I have ever tasted in New Zealand. We have been here 13 years.
Yeah.
Now, I know I've talked about Indian food before and I've told you about the Cinnamon Kitchen in New Plymouth. Cinnamon Kitchen is still right up there on my list.
As in a restaurant sit-down.
Sit-down restaurant. Yep. But this is something else. This was just, you know, when you're like, I don't know, like, what is it called when you're just exploding with happiness?
Hungry. Satisfaction, you're eating.
Bri.
We hadn't eaten all day. It was gorgeous though, wasn't it?
I went in, I'd finished my meal. There was loads. It was the portions.
We even had for lunch
huge.
the next day.
Yeah.
Because you can get a small portion for $14 or a big portion for $18.
The whole thing came to about $38 for 2 meals, poppadoms, and you got 3 or 4 poppadoms in the packet.
Yeah.
The rice was stacked up to the top. It was fresh. It was delicious. It was hot. Oh, I went back in. I finished my meal. I went back in. I said, and she was looking at me as if like, oh no, is she coming in to complain? Because they were just closing.
Life story.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, as I was saying, my son.
Yeah. You never guess what will come back next week.
Yeah. I went in and I said, I just want you to know that is the best meal. And the guy behind the counter who was cooking, he turned around and he had the biggest smile on his face. And she said, thank you so much. I said, no, thank you so much. I said, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to write you a really good review. But better than that, I'm coming on YouTube.
Yeah, we didn't tell her about YouTube. But
no, we didn't tell her about YouTube. So if you are going through Levin to get to Wellington, or you live in Levin or whatever, you are in Levin, get yourself down to the Star of India.
If you're heading towards Wellington, you go past Macca's. Literally, you'll go past about 3 blocks, and there it is on the right-hand side. It's like you feel like you're just starting to come out the bigger shops, and it's just sitting there on the right-hand side. Or if you're coming into Levin, you'll go past the BP, about 2 blocks, and it's there on the left-hand side. So,
do yourself a favour and get in there and get yourself some food. And I'll tell you what we said even. We said, next time we go down to see Tessa, we're going to take $100. Take $100 out of our kitty, and we are going to buy 5 curries.
Yeah, 5 curries.
Bring them home with us.
Yeah, definitely.
It was so good. It was so good.
It was really, really good.
So that was our little tip.
So on my way down to Wellington, we stopped in Levin, ate Macca's again to get a cup of tea, because they do quite a nice jasmine tea. And I'm coming back over with the teas, and my car's over there. There's a truck now trying to get in across the sidewalk into, like, it looked like a countdown delivery place, didn't it?
Yeah,
like, you know?
It was a countdown delivery place.
And the guy just getting out the thing, gave him the old eyes. All right, mate. Because I thought he was going to come and unlock the padlock, and he's like, "No, you go through." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cheers." And then I put the tea up on the roof of the car, and he then comes around the side of the little truck he's in, and he looks over at me and goes, "Brian?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he goes, "Seen you on YouTube, mate." I went, "Okay, cheers."
You haven't got a plate we can use, have you?
Big shout out to you, whoever you were, working for a countdown delivery or whatever you were doing that day, delivery driver or something. So good on you. Cheers.
Big shout out, absolutely.
Yeah, take my hat off to anyone who says, "All right, mate, how you doing?"
Made Bry's day. You really did make Bry's day, and you told Sonny, didn't you? And we came home. You go, guess what, Sonny? Again, I think I should just call this episode Kiwi Kindness, because it is that whole There's no, I don't know. I don't
You
know.
got to look at the positive things in life, haven't you?
have,
And these
right.
little things make things so much better, like
Yeah.
than looking on that negative stuff and finding and putting the blame onto. So many people put the blame on things. It's like, change your life if it's so bad, like and stop blaming people.
Bri, what? Hang on, what's going on here then? So I was just saying about the kiwi kindness, right?
Yeah, I forgot to say it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just say this and then we'll go, because I'm sure we've been going on long enough now. But what I was going to say, Brian, I just got a little question for you.
Yeah.
Is if you've followed someone online, you know that guy that you follow online, what's he called? That person that you love that does all the podcasts?
There's a couple of people.
Ryan, not Ryan. Anyway.
Peter Diamandis?
No, the other guy that you love.
Lewis House?
Lewis, yeah.
Yeah.
So Brian follows this guy called Lewis and loves all his podcasts. Right. What would you do if you were just in New Plymouth going around Pack and Save, going down the dog food aisle, right?
Yeah.
And there at the end of the aisle was Lewis.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of bodyguards around him,
Yeah.
let's just say.
Well,
What would you do?
He wouldn't, because he's a big boy anyway.
Oh, is he now?
Well, he is. He's ex.
Big boy, is he? Why did you puff your chest up when you said that?
Because that'd be now up to his chest.
Would you or would you not go up to Lewis and say, Lewis, mate,
I'd be up
seen
there.
you on YouTube.
Give him a big hug. How you doing, bro?
Would you or not?
Yes, I would. I'd have to, because I've watched a lot of his stuff and appreciate what he does.
Yeah.
For everybody.
I just think it takes a lot
It does.
to just put, just to say thanks or
yeah.
good on you. It just takes a lot.
It does. But it's very weird when someone says, "Oh, I recognize you from YouTube," because straight off you go, "Oh." It's a funny feeling, isn't it? So sometimes you just think, I'll just leave and let him get on with it. But it's so nice when someone does say hello to you.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit embarrassing at first, because you're just like, oh, I don't know you, but you obviously know a lot about me because I put myself out there. Like,
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it? But
So
anyway.
that's been our week. Yeah.
Yes. The week that was, or the fortnight that was, actually.
Yeah.
It's normally 2 weeks, isn't it? Like,
So don't forget that if you want to catch up on the real nitty gritty, stuff that we do talk about and go into quite deeply, we do that on our audio podcast. Same name, It's a Drama. I always put them up on YouTube so you can watch them. Listen to them, but they are just audio podcasts.
Yeah. We might in the future, if we change where we're going to be, we do our podcast, but we just can't get a camera in the room, and it's a podcast room just for doing podcasting. So, but we might figure out, and this is different because it has a different feel to it. When you've got a camera to look at and concentrate on, it's never quite the same as doing those the
audio
but
ones.
we might just start recording them. You might just get our side profiles.
Oh God, that'd be hideous, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you. Like I say, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for sitting and chatting with us. So many people say it's just like having a cup of tea and just, getting together with you. I hope you've enjoyed this show. And from me, Liz, thank you for being here, and I will see you next time.
Yeah, and all you New Zealanders out there, kia kaha, stay strong, and everybody else in the world, stay strong. And hey, go steady, and kia u, stay true, and that's true to yourself. And we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
See you now.
We discovered something today about New Zealand that we never knew existed. Part of the New Zealand culture. Apparently there's this thing called the cringe culture, where New Zealanders see something and they literally cringe when they see it.
That was the worst production when that girl started singing.
Felt like watching the Muppet Show or something.
If you want to know what that thing is, let's jump on into the episode and find out.